So if you look around you, you see people who are pretty different from you, right? You see tall people, you see short people, you see skinny people, some not so skinny people, you see people who like different things from you, who know different things from you, who like to do different things from you. So I want to divide you into groups, kids. Okay? If you had to choose between having a meal that was pizza and Coke, would you choose that? Or burgers and French fries and a milkshake? If you're pizza and Coke, come over here. Too hard? And if you're burger and shake and which one would you choose? Okay, you're doing burger? We're doing burger and milkshake? I'm all in on the pizza. Wow. Okay, you're going that way. Okay, so all of you, how many of you would pick pizza and a Coke? Okay, a few of you, how many would pick the burger and the milkshake? Okay, so, oh no, nobody likes what I like. What's wrong with that? Okay, another question while you're still up here. If you had to choose between a really hot day, like almost 100 degrees, or a really cold day, like 0 degrees, freezing when they cancel school kind of day, and we're not talking about the canceling school, we're just talking about the weather part, okay? Which would you choose? If you like it hot, over here. If you like it really cold, stay over there. It's hard to decide, isn't it? Yeah, okay, you can't decide. Okay, how about you? How many of you would pick the 98-degree day? How many of you would pick the 0-degree day? Okay, yeah, I'm going with the 98-degree day. So I'm looking at you now and saying, what's wrong with you? Why are you picking that weird stuff? And you'd be saying, well, you can put on coats, right? When it's hot, there's nothing you can do. But isn't it interesting how we like things different? Okay, you guys can go back to your place now. Isn't it interesting how we like those things differently? Yeah, I know, you couldn't decide. You can tell me later when you decide. So I'm going to read you a story about people being interested in different things. This is when the Lord was on earth, and he said, and we read, now it happened as they went that he, Jesus, entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister named Mary who sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving. But Martha, and she approached the Lord and said to him, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me alone to serve? Therefore tell her to help me. And Jesus said to her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but Mary has chosen that one good thing which will not be taken from her. So how's that related to our topic? Mary was serving. She was trying to get everything ready for the meal and all of that. And thank you, Martha was getting the meal ready. And Mary was off sitting at the Lord's feet listening to him. And Martha was annoyed. What was she saying? Mary, you should be like me and come and help. Was it wrong for Martha to want help? Was it wrong for her to feel tired? But she didn't just do that. She got a little bit mean, didn't she? And not only that, she didn't just go say to Mary, Mary, can you please come help me? She went to the Lord and said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me alone to serve? Therefore, tell her to help me. Do you think that's how we're supposed to talk to the Lord? We're supposed to go to the Lord and say, Lord, you're doing it wrong. Fix it. Is that a good idea? No, it's not a good idea, right? So if someone really important was coming to your house, you would want to get ready, right? And if someone really important was coming to your house, you would want to spend time with them. Those were both good things to do. Martha chose one thing, Mary chose another, but Martha wasn't really okay with Mary choosing something different. And we can sometimes do this with other people. You know, we like what we like. I like it when you guys all liked it when it was cold, right? I like it when it's cold. What's wrong with you that you like it when it's hot? I like burger and fries and milkshakes. I think it was the milkshakes you were probably liking, wasn't it? I like burgers and fries and milkshakes. What's wrong with you that you want pizza and Coke? We often do that. I like it, so you should. And so here's your job. I want you to think about people that you know and notice things that they're good at that maybe you're not good at. And say, wow, it's so cool that they're good at that. And maybe even tell them, I really like that you're good at that. I'm not so good at it. Okay? So that's your job. Okay? Notice the differences in other people. And if it's your mom, tell your mom something that you like about her. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to the grown-ups a little bit more. So I'm going to come back to this theme. But first I want to step back and talk about a passage from New Church teaching that is defining what love is. If I put you on the spot, held out the microphone and said, tell me, what's love? How would you define it? Nasty question. So if you... Okay, loving others outside yourself? Compassion, good word. Non-judgment. Sacrifice. Yeah, that's very real. Pardon? Wanting good for them. You guys are, yeah? Showing up when you don't want to. That's a good one. You guys did really well. Here's the passage. It's really short. It's about the nature of the Lord's love. And it says, the essence of love is loving others outside of oneself, wanting to be one with them, and wanting to make them blessed or happy from oneself. Now, this is really obvious, right? When you want to love someone, you want to be connected with them. And if you love someone, you want to make their life better. What's with this? Kind of obvious, like, duh, you're outside of me. That's the whole point. But if you're talking about a three-point definition of love, somehow this one needs to mean something. Now, the passage goes on to talk about how the Lord's love is for everyone, and it's about how he loves even the evil, not just the good. So how he's loving that otherness in people as well as the things that are the same as what he values. And that's starting to get to it. Now I'm going to read you another passage also from New Church teaching. This one is from Divine Love and Wisdom. And it hits some of these same things, but in a slightly different way. And it gets at this a little bit. The essence of love is not to love self, but to love others. And through love, to be conjoined with them. It is also the essence of love to be loved by others, for in this way conjunction is achieved. The essential ingredient in love consists in conjunction. Indeed, in it consists its life, which we call pleasure, gratification, delight, sweetness, bliss, felicity, and happiness. Love consists in willing what is one's own to be another's, and in feeling the other's delight as delight in oneself. This is what it is to love. And then the next part is all about this top one. In contrast, to feel one's own delight in another and not the other's delight in oneself is not to love. For it is loving self, whereas the first is loving the neighbor. These two types of love are diametrically opposite each other in nature, both indeed conjoin. But to love what one has in another, in other words, to love oneself in another, does not appear to undo that conjunction, but in fact it does so undo that conjunction or that connection that the more anyone has loved another in this way, the more the other eventually hates him. That's pretty strong, right? You notice it's pretty much like almost all of it was about this part. And oh, by the way, there are these other things. So do I want to see myself in others, or do I want to take their joy into me? Think about what feeling our own delight in another means. That means you like what I like. You think what I think. You do what I do. You do things that make me feel good about me. But feeling another's joy as joy in ourselves is about noticing their different thoughts, their different affections, their different experiences, and finding delight in that as if it had happened to us. And as the teaching said, they both connect, but one from ego, which destroys, the other from love, which lasts. So here's the punchline. To truly love someone, you have to love the differences from you. You have to find joy in the places where they can do things that you cannot, where they see things in ways that are different from you. So we often want people to be like us, right? I pick my words carefully, so should you. I'm spontaneously generous. Well, why can't you be? I'm fun at a party. Couldn't you be more? I'm cautious with trying new things. You shouldn't be so reckless. I say what I mean. Why don't you? Right? That's what we tend to do when we are interacting with other people. And I'm going to focus on marriage a little bit, partly because it's the easiest one to focus on here, but also because there's a lot of research that's been done about it. The reality is that we marry people precisely because they bring things that we don't. We find that spontaneous person who balances out our more careful approach. And there's hard evidence that says that opposites attract marriages are more successful than marriages that focus on similarities. Now, I want to clarify. You need to have enough similarities to be able to communicate. And this is not talking about values. When it comes to values, you actually want to be on the same page. That's why sharing a faith, going to the same church really matters, because that's about values. But when you're talking about how you do the things that you do, then you want variety, you want different approaches. And this is why dating sites get it all wrong. Dating sites focus on compatibility, right? You share these 8 characteristics in common, you should have a great relationship. But that's actually not what creates the spark in a lasting relationship. It's the fact that that person does something that we don't do, that they're incompatible, and something changes us. Now, this is also true of friendships. It's just easiest to show in marriage. So your deep friendships, your siblings, valuing the differences is going to really show up. Less so with our buddies, because there you pretty much just want to go play golf together, and that's all. But even there, it'll show up. If you think about it, when challenges show up in relationships, it's often because we have the same weakness. We're both bad at finances. We both have a lot of pride and don't want to back down. We both have vile tempers. We both are peacekeepers and don't talk about it until things build up. Or they show up because I am completely unable to tolerate the way that you're different from me. That is an unacceptable behavior. You, who you are, is not acceptable. Sometimes it's the values thing. We're not talking about that today. That's a whole story for another day. I want you to think about how much this different from me thing shows up. So the fun in marriage and in any relationship is the way someone comes at something differently from you. Sometimes in ways that make you crazy. Because it challenges you, it forces you to grow. It balances you out. So if you can appreciate the differences, if you can say, thank you for bringing that into my life. If you can ask why you were drawn to this crazy person who is so different from you, you start to see that maybe it's because of those differences that you were drawn to them, and maybe it's about making it work with those differences. It's kind of like the way the Lord designed men and women to be different, and we're forced to deal with those different approaches and see how they harmonize. Now, I don't want to trivialize the need for commonality, because of course we need to have some. But, we want to have enough similarities. We both like to have long talks. We both are just get out and do people. You want to have some of that. But the good stuff is where that person brings an extra spice to the relationship by bringing something that you could never in a million years have done yourself. So same task for you as for the kids. Look at your relationships and notice the differences, especially the differences that are challenging for you. And then ask, what good is the Lord bringing into the world because of those differences? And how might I need them in my life? So don't focus on the fact that they're late. Focus on the fact that they're deeply involved in what they do. Don't focus on that they interrupt. Focus on that they're passionate about what they think. Don't focus on the fact that they're neatniks and always arranging your things. Focus on the ways in which they bring order into your life. And maybe you don't want your things arranged, but you do need order in your life, and you're attracted to that. So Martha wanted Mary to be like her instead of seeing how she balanced her. And it's not that she wanted help, it's that she ended up being mean about it. A lawyer asked the Lord about who was the neighbor, and the Lord gave a parable of the Good Samaritan, where the neighbor was this despised other Samaritan, as different as you could get, and he was being asked to see the good in that other. The Lord said, if you love those who love you, what reward have you? And he goes on to say, love your enemies. And the way I'd like you to sort of focus in on that is to think about the people in your life and the differences from you that sometimes feel like enemies to your happiness. And say, how can I value those things if I get out of my ego, if I try to find joy in the things that they bring? How can I turn the coin, flip the coin, and see the good side of that quality, not the negative? And one last idea. It is by seeing otherness in people that allows us to serve them. It's a passage from the work, The Doctrine of Faith. It is one thing to love the neighbor for the good or use he may be to us, and another to love the neighbor for the good or use we may be to him. To love the neighbor for the good or use that he may be to us is something an evil person can do. But to love the good in the neighbor for the use or good that we may be to him is something only a good person can do. We serve other people when we say, I can bring something to this relationship that that person can't, and therefore I'm going to try to serve them. That's the tipping point for being a good person, something only a good person can do. And I think that sense of differences starts most productively when we look at that other person, see the gifts that the Lord gave them, and say, wow, I'm so glad that is in my life, and choose to see that good. And then, when we've done that, we can look at the gifts that the Lord has given us and say, I have something to offer. Please allow me to serve you too. Amen.